One of the things that I think is extraordinary about the age we're now living in, and certainly the last 5 or 6 years since the economic crash and the residual fallout across the globe, is I've heard increasingly a term in the last 5 or 6 years that I haven't heard used since I was a child, and it was a term my grandmother used in a slightly different context. I don't know how many of you will be familiar with that term, to hunker down. I used to hear it as a child when winter came, and my grandmother used to get the humbugs out and the blankets and build a fire and say, "Oh, let's hunker down, it's a cold day." And of course that was about insulating ourselves against the cold outside, and we'd all be warm and wait for the storm to pass. Right? Now, this is a term I've heard more and more over the last 5 or 6 years. Like, we can insulate ourselves from the changes and the accelerated rate of development and uncertainty in the world around us by somehow returning to a world that is safe and insular and protected. And our urge, as we've become, I suppose, more technologically advanced, as society has developed and evolved, has been to nurture and protect our children to an increasing degree as the generations go by. Almost the danger is the more we know, the more we're scared of, the more we're scared of, the more we protect our children. And I'm not sure it's having a positive impact either physically or socially. And for me, there's a great analogy in that, from what I understand, and forgive me because I'm not a medic, I understand that the cases of asthma amongst children has risen dramatically in the developed world because households now are so incredibly disinfected that our children are far more susceptible to conditions such as asthma. And I think it's ironic because I think if you take that forward to the realm of risk-taking, we're doing our children no favours in doing exactly the same thing. We're overprotecting them. We're trying to grasp certainty and mould a more certain and old-fashioned world, if you like, which in itself is a concept that's questionable, in order to protect and shield our children from the maelstrom that is occurring outside of our doors and in society. Look, we undeniably, as a world, face at least 3 global challenges which threaten our very species and planet in different degrees. We have an environmental crisis which we all know about isn't sustainable. We have economic crisis around the world which simply are, the structures and models of economy are simply not capable of sustaining the global population. And we have massive issues around socio-ethnicity and social ethnic strife. These are problems that have been created in some small part by the world we've inhabited, the world we were trained to inhabit, and the world we now live in. Yet our children are going to have to find the solutions to those huge global crises. And partly the reason why we haven't found those solutions is because I don't think we have the courage to take the risks necessary to transform society dramatically enough to really respond to those great global challenges. So we have to ensure actually that our children, we resist that natural instinct to protect our children from everything, and we have to allow them to make mistakes. We have to celebrate their risk-taking. We have to realise that they're going to make mistakes, that they're going to fail, and actually encourage them to do so, because it strikes me that the greatest people throughout history have all been risk takers, whether they've been scientists, geographers, artists, musicians, performers of any nature. The people that have driven humanity forward have all been people who have failed more times than they've succeeded. But the point is, you can only learn something new by making a mistake. You can't learn something new by doing what you've always done.